Brothers, let's be honest for a moment. There's nothing more confusing and at times painful than giving your heart, your time, and your energy to a woman, only to feel something is off. You can't put your finger on it, but her energy shifts, her warmth fades, and suddenly, the woman you thought was yours feels like a stranger. Many men today are walking around emotionally lost, not because they don't know how to love, but because they don't know how to read the signs when something has already happened behind their backs. You see, intimacy isn't just about the physical. It leaves a mark, an imprint on a woman's spirit, her emotions, her very presence. And when she has been with someone else, whether she tells you or not, her energy will tell the truth. This isn't about shaming women. It's about opening the eyes of men. Men who are tired of being blind, tired of guessing, and tired of carrying relationships that are already gone. If you've ever felt insecure, suspicious, or simply confused about where you stand with her, then listen closely. Because today, I'm going to share with you 5 clear signs of a woman who has just been with another man, and, more importantly, what those signs mean for you as a man who values himself. When a woman has been intimate with someone else, the first thing that changes is not her words, but her energy. It's the distance that creeps in silently. One day, she's laughing with you, sharing her dreams, her silly stories, the little details of her day, and then suddenly it feels like you're talking to someone standing behind a wall. She may still talk, but the depth is gone. The warmth is gone. And as a man, you feel it in ways that you can't always describe, like the way her eyes avoid yours when you try to connect, or how her voice sounds a little more distracted when you ask her a simple question. She's there, but not really there. And here's the truth: intimacy ties emotions. Whether she admits it or not, giving herself physically to another man creates an imprint. That bond, temporary or not, shifts her focus and splits her emotions. Suddenly, the space she once reserved for you isn't entirely yours anymore. Now, some men ignore this sign because they don't want to believe it. They tell themselves she's just busy, stressed, or tired. But brothers, listen carefully. When a woman is emotionally invested in you, she will always find a way to connect, no matter how busy she is. When she pulls away emotionally, it's because something deeper has taken her attention, her heart, and often her body. This is where many men break. They start chasing harder, calling more, texting more, begging for attention, when in reality, that distance is proof that her loyalty has already shifted. And the more you chase, the further she withdraws. The lesson here isn't to become paranoid or controlling. The lesson is to trust what you feel. If her energy changes, don't ignore it. Don't lie to yourself just to protect your feelings. Pay attention. Emotional distance is never random. It's always a reflection of where her heart is leaning. A high-value man doesn't fight for scraps of affection. He recognizes when the emotional bond has been broken, and he makes the hardest but most necessary decision to protect his heart, his dignity, and his peace. One of the most confusing signs a man can encounter is when a woman suddenly becomes too nice. She's buying little gifts, texting sweet messages, complimenting you endlessly, or going out of her way to make you feel appreciated. At first glance, it feels like a dream. Finally, she's showing affection, right? But here's the hard truth, brothers. When a woman has been intimate with someone else, this kind of extra sweetness is often not about love. It's about guilt. She's compensating, consciously or unconsciously, for something she knows is wrong. She's trying to soothe her own conscience and keep you close, even when her loyalty or emotions have already been divided. Think about it this way: real affection flows naturally. It doesn't come with over-the-top gestures or constant reassurance. When a woman genuinely feels emotionally connected to you, she doesn't need to prove it at every moment. Guilt-driven niceness, on the other hand, is performative. It's a mask, a way to protect herself from the uncomfortable truth she can't or won't admit. And here's where many men get caught in the trap. They mistake this overcompensation for love and security. They tell themselves, she must really care about me. Look at how sweet she's being. But you don't measure love by gifts or over-apologizing. You measure it by consistent alignment. Her energy matches her words, her actions match her intentions, and her presence makes you feel secure rather than suspicious. Recognizing guilt-driven niceness requires emotional maturity. You have to pay attention to patterns over time, not just isolated acts. Does she follow through on promises? Does she make you feel truly seen? Or is it always performative? Does her energy feel authentic? Or does it feel like she's trying to convince herself as much as you? A high-value man doesn't fall for gestures meant to soothe guilt. He reads between the lines. He sees the inconsistency between words and energy, and he trusts his instincts. Understanding this sign isn't about judging her. It's about valuing yourself enough to recognize when affection is authentic versus when it's a coping mechanism. Brothers, if you sense this overcompensation, don't panic. Don't chase harder. Step back. Observe. Protect your heart. Because real love doesn't need a performance. It's steady, honest, and grounded in truth. Brothers, one of the most telling signs a woman has been intimate with someone else isn't in her words. It's in her body. Her body is honest, even when her mouth is not. And if you've ever felt a subtle distance, hesitation, or discomfort when you're close, that's her physical cues speaking the truth. When a woman is emotionally and physically bonded with another man, even partially, her body reflects it. She may avoid prolonged eye contact, hesitate before touching you, or keep a subtle physical distance that wasn't there before. You'll notice that the warmth of her hugs or kisses feels different. Less open, less connected. It's almost imperceptible at first, but you feel it. That gut feeling that something is off. That's your instinct picking up on the misalignment between her words and her energy. It's important to understand why this happens. Physical intimacy leaves a mark, not just physically, but emotionally. When she has shared that closeness with someone else, a part of her energy has shifted. Her body remembers, her emotions remember, and it shows in the subtle ways she moves, reacts, and carries herself around you. She might fidget when you try to hold her hand, flinch at unexpected touches, or keep a certain posture that feels defensive. Now, some men try to ignore it, telling themselves it's just stress, fatigue, or personality quirks. But here's the truth: patterns don't lie. A single off moment can be coincidental, but a consistent shift in body language is a signal. It's not a judgment on her character. It's a reflection of her emotional reality. Understanding this sign isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about paying attention to the truth your senses are telling you. High-value men don't look the other way when their intuition is ringing alarms. They observe, they respect themselves, and they act accordingly. So next time you notice subtle changes, hesitation, avoidance, or a disconnect between her words and her movements, trust yourself. It's not weakness, and it's not insecurity. It's awareness, and awareness is the first step to protecting your heart and maintaining your value. Because, brothers, a woman who is physically and emotionally aligned with you will show it effortlessly. When she's not, the truth is in her body, even if her lips never say a word. Brothers, one of the most subtle but powerful signs that something has shifted in a woman's heart is the way she communicates. At first, everything feels normal. She calls, she texts, she shares her day with you. But then you start noticing gaps, long silences, vague responses, unexplained delays. The conversations that used to flow naturally now feel forced or half-hearted. Communication isn't just words, it's energy. When a woman is emotionally invested in you, she prioritizes keeping the connection alive. She shares her thoughts, she checks in, she makes time for you even when life gets busy. But when her energy is partially elsewhere, something changes. Her messages lose their spark. Her calls become infrequent. She becomes distant in ways that can't be fully explained. Many men try to rationalize this. She's just busy, they tell themselves. She has a lot going on right now. And yes, life can be hectic, but patterns don't lie. A woman who is aligned with you will make space for you, even in chaos. When she doesn't, it's not a reflection of her schedule. It's a reflection of her focus. And here's the tricky part. It's not always about being secretive or deceptive. Sometimes the shift in communication comes from internal conflict, guilt, or a new emotional investment elsewhere. Her energy is being split and her attention is divided. That's why the rhythm of her communication, the consistency, the warmth, the eagerness, changes without her saying a word. High-value men don't chase. They observe, they notice the subtle inconsistencies between words and actions, and they trust what their eyes, ears, and gut are telling them. Emotional intelligence isn't just knowing how to talk to a woman. It's knowing when her words no longer match her energy. So pay attention to her rhythm, brothers. The way she responds, or doesn't respond, is a reflection of where her heart is. If the connection feels fragmented, if her messages lack the intimacy they once had, that's a warning. It's not about accusing. It's about awareness. Your value isn't in convincing her to communicate differently. Your value is in recognizing the truth, protecting your heart, and not settling for half-measured attention. When communication falters, it's a signal, a subtle but undeniable one, that things are no longer fully aligned. Brothers, one of the most powerful signs a woman has been with someone else isn't in what she says. It's in what you feel. Your intuition, your gut, your inner radar. Call it what you will, never lies. Even when everything looks fine on the surface, something deep inside you knows when her energy has shifted. That subtle unease, the flicker of doubt, the question you can't shake, that is truth trying to reach you. Energy is everything. It's in the way she moves, the tone of her voice, the light, or lack of it, in her eyes. It's in the pauses, the hesitations, the fleeting moments where she seems off. But you can't explain why. High value men learn to listen to that invisible signal because it tells you far more than words ever could. Some men dismiss this feeling, labeling it as paranoia or insecurity. They rationalize, I'm overthinking it, or she's probably just stressed. But brothers, when your gut repeatedly signals something is wrong, it's not your imagination. It's your internal compass pointing toward reality. Emotional alignment and physical intimacy leave imprints on energy. When her energy is not fully aligned with you, you feel it. Period. This is why high-value men don't ignore what they feel. They don't try to manipulate, convince, or coerce. They observe and respond. They recognize that energy is the language of truth, and when the signals are inconsistent, it's a red flag, not a personal failing. Energy can't be faked long-term. A woman might try. She might overcompensate with words, gifts, or affection. But eventually, her energy will betray the reality of her heart. That subtle tension you feel, the inexplicable disconnect, is her truth leaking through the cracks. The lesson here is simple but profound. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Stop doubting your own perception to make someone else comfortable. Protect your emotional space because nothing erodes a man's value faster than ignoring the truth his senses are screaming at him. Brothers, the energy is invisible but undeniable. If something feels off, pay attention. Your intuition is your strongest tool. High-value men don't chase illusions. They recognize truth, respect themselves, and act accordingly. Brothers, we've walked through the signs, the emotional distance, the guilt-driven niceness, the subtle body language, the shifts in communication, the energy that feels off. And now, it comes down to the hardest part, asking yourself the question you may be avoiding. The question is simple, but it cuts deep. Am I willing to stay where I'm no longer fully valued? Too many men get caught in the trap of hoping, convincing themselves that love, attention, or loyalty can be negotiated or fixed with enough effort. They chase, they explain, they overcompensate, and in doing so, they chip away at their own self-worth. But brothers, high-value men know that true love is never a negotiation. Real connection is effortless, consistent, and mutually affirming. When she's emotionally aligned, fully present, and invested, it's not exhausting, it's life-affirming. Ask yourself, is she giving you pieces, or is she giving her whole heart? Is her energy fully with you? Or is it divided? Is her presence uplifting your spirit or leaving you drained, anxious, and uncertain? These are not small questions. They are the compass for your emotional survival. The reality is harsh, but liberating if you sense her heart is elsewhere. The only thing you truly control is yourself. You control your response. You control your dignity. You control whether you allow half-measured affection to erode your value. High-value men act not out of anger, but out of self-respect. They recognize that walking away from something misaligned is not rejection. It's clarity. It's courage. This is the lesson beyond spotting signs. It's the lesson of ownership, of awareness, of refusing to settle for less than your worth. Because brothers, love should not be a battlefield and your peace of mind is non-negotiable. Protect it. Honor it. Demand it for yourself. So today, take a hard look at the reality in front of you. Trust your instincts. Observe the signs not with paranoia, but with clarity, and then make the choice that aligns with your self-worth. High-value men don't wait for apologies, explanations, or second chances. They act with discernment, integrity, and courage. And that, more than anything, is what separates a man who is lost from a man who is free.